Hello, this is Issues of the Day. Topic for discussion today is cybercrime in Africa and Asia. This is, as you will recall, I told you I've been talking about cybercrime in Africa before, but I've never done it as a joint outlook on Africa and Asia. My Issues of the Day's outlook is global with regard to cyber related geopolitical significance of cyber issues and how it applies to governance, risk, and compliance. As we can see, from the slides, we have Africa. The key challenges, we are told, we give a comparison. We have cybercrime abductions in both Africa and Asia, as we can see. Africa, the key challenges are lack of cybersecurity awareness, insufficient law enforcement. The major incidents which are talked about a lot is Nigeria, large-scale phishing scams, South Africa, ransomware attacks. Then we have Asia. The key challenges are advanced persistent threats, high-tech crime syndicates, state-sponsored hacking. When it comes to China, as it is reported, India, it is IT scam operations, which have global ramifications. So um, the the issue of cyber gangs abducting East adapting Asian and African nationals for 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 participation in the scams and cyber related wrong r- r- wrong 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 deeds. The, this phenomenon of cyber gangs abducting individuals from Asia and African countries to engage in cybercrime has escalated, presenting a critical international security issue. Lured by the promise of employment opportunities, these victims find themselves ensnared in criminal networks, forced to commit cyber crimes. This analysis delves into the recruitment strategies, exploitation mechanisms, and both the personal and broader economic consequences faced by the victims and their home countries. Recruitment strategies. There are false job advertisements. Cyber gangs craft elaborate, fake job postings that appear on well known job searching platforms. These postings often promise attractive salaries, benefits, and relocation packages, making them particularly appealing to job seekers from economically vulnerable regions. Social engineering tactics. These criminals employ sophisticated social engineering tactics to build trust and persuade individuals to accept job offers abroad by manipulating emotional vulnerabilities such as the urgent need for employment or the desire for a better life. Gangs are able to convince individuals to move to another country under the guise of legitimate employment. Role of local facilitators. In many cases, local facilitators in the victims' countries play a crucial role. These facilitators, who might be knowingly or unknowingly complicit, help to smooth over any logistical or emotional hesitations that potential victims may have, thus adding the cyber gangs. By doing this, they aid the cyber gangs in solidifying their deceitful arrangements. Upon arrival, victims are coerced into participating in various cyber scams such as phishing attacks, online auction fraud, and other financial cyber crimes. They are often subjected to intense uh, training sessions where they learn the scripts and tactics needed to defraud victims online. The living and working conditions. Victims typically endure poor living conditions with high levels of surveillance and minimal personal freedom. They are often housed in cramped, secure facilities where they work long hours under strict oversight. Control and manipulation tactics are employed. Cyber gangs retain control through a combination of psychological manipulation, physical threats, and isolation from the outside world. Communication with family and friends is heavily monitored or entirely cut off, leaving victims helpless and dependent on their captors. Consequences for victims. Legal and psychological impact. Victims not only face the risk of arrest and prosecution for their involvement in cyber crimes, but also suffer from severe psychological distress and trauma as a result of their exploitation and the conditions under which they are forced to work. Stigma and reintegration challenges. Upon return to their home countries, victims also often face significant stigma from their communities. This social ostracism, coupled with the challenges of reintegration, can lead to long term social and economic difficulties. Impact on home countries. Economic implications. The abduction of nationals for cybercrime operations results in significant human capital losses. Furthermore, these criminal activities can strain international relations and result in economic sanctions against nations found to be lax in combating cybercrime. Countries are increasingly aware of the need to protect their citizens from such exploitation. Policy responses include strengthening international cooperation, enhancing cybersecurity measures, and improving domestic employment opportunities to reduce the allure of fraudulent overseas job offers. So, the issue of cyber gangs exploiting vulnerable populations for employment is a pressing global challenge. It requires concerted international efforts to prevent recruitment, protect current and potential victims, and prosecute those responsible for such schemes. As cybercrime continues to evolve, so too must our strategies to combat it, ensuring safer opportunities for all individuals, regardless of geographic or economic status. So, as you can see, this is a very big problem, and it is 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 only going to get it is only going to grow even more, because we have situations whereby you have the factors that contribute to this. We have issues of corruption, political instability, conflict, um, and you these are the factors abiding in Myanmar, a country which is become a a key a key a key a key re, a key refuge for these cyber gangs, where they lure people to come and they encamp them in prison labor camps, and they force them to do dark deeds like phishing, pig butchering, romance scams involving cryptocurrency. Uh, people are trafficked to Myanmar, and they end up being held in those specially built camps for cyber extortion campaigns. So we have a plethora of actually factors that contribute to this. We have exploitation, forced labor, armed conflict, political instability in these countries, like Myanmar and the countries which are the people are some countries which people are trafficked from. We have corruption in Africa and Asia. Um, um, the laws are weak. They need to be strengthened. As part of the solutions, education. There is need for educating people about the cyber job adverts which are not really genuine. International cooperation between nations that are affected. Promoting more and enforcing legal frameworks which are weak. Uh, tr- uh, in the case of Africa, there is a poverty factor. Human trafficking is a very big problem there. Is um, International cooperation would help strengthening the domestic laws and educating the public who are seeking job opportunity, greener pastures overseas. That not all is green, and to train them how to notice the fake and the genuine jobs. Maybe it would be better for them to pool resources for cyber recruitment, create bodies that can handle uh, cyber related job adverts in the countries which are seeking employees for cyber related jobs. Um, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, and Egypt are among those forced into cyber slavery scams in Myanmar and Cambodia. Governments in East Africa need to act to reduce the risks of more of their citizens being trapped in cyber slavery in Southeast Asia. Um, Countries including Myanmar and Cambodia in recent years have been used by Chinese organized crime gangs to set up cyber scamming compounds. Those who work in them are tasked with defrauding people seeking to find a new relationship online. Many of the cyber slaves and their financial victims are Chinese, but the cyber gang masters know that the richest pickings are to be found in the English speaking world. They have increasingly sought to lure young English speakers from areas including East Africa under the false promise of well paid legitimate employment. Cyber slavery in Southeast Asia may constitute one of the largest coordinated trafficking in persons operations in history, according to a 2023 report from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC. UNODC. The report says that the scam industry in an unnamed country in the region may be generating between 7.5 billion US dollars and $12 billion in receipts, or about half that country's GDP. The UK-based Human Rights Commission works with governments, NGOs, and the private sector to seek to tackle modern slavery and human trafficking. HRC says there was a group of 20 Ugandans who were being held in a compound in Myanmar recently. The group is the tip of the iceberg in terms of African cyber slaves in the region. A lot of Africans are being targeted, especially those who speak English. The HRC has previously assisted two Ethiopians to return to their country after being held as cyber slaves in Cambodia. Kenyans are also being held in the region. A survivor account published by HRC details cyber scam compound operations in Myanmar and Laos. The victim was sold 4 times by different compounds in the two countries. Working hours range from 13 to 16 hours a day, with victims expected to keep going for as long as necessary to hit financial targets. Beatings and electrocution were regularly used to drive the cyber slave zone. You could no longer feel your body due to exhaustion, and the food was terrible and limited. We were forced to work without pay, with little time for rest and sleep. There was also no proper medication given to us, and falling sick or ill never meant anything to the Chinese speaking organizers, the victim recounts. So the victim is narrating his experiences that he went through in one of these cyber slave camps in Myanmar. He witnessed people from countries including Uganda, Eritrea, Ethiopia, South Africa, and Sudan working in the compounds. The scammers create fake social media profiles of beautiful women using images stolen online. They are told to target affluent men and try to lure them into investing in cryptocurrency via fake company websites. It can be found on social media like Facebook, Telegram. This process is known as fattening the pig or pig butchering, reducing the risks. The approach from a cyber scam recruiter promising a well paid job in Southeast Asia can come online or in person. The final destination may not be disclosed. Some of the Ugandan victims in Myanmar thought they were going to work in Thailand. Much of the media coverage of cyber slavery has focused on Cambodia and Myanmar, but um, there is also compounds in less well researched locations such as Laos and Dubai. A cyber slave victim supported by HRC to leave Laos reported that Egyptians were among the trafficked victims. So now, the onus is on East African governments to do more to address the issue. More information on some cyber slavery needs to be made available at airports in the region. That is another solution, including emergency contact numbers. There is scope for airport staff to take the initiative and question young people with little or no luggage traveling to Southeast Asia. That is also another option. Prevention itself will never be enough. Cyber scam compounds invariably rely on local recruiters in the countries where they source their victims. And governments need to work to dismantle these networks, the local networks. East African embassies in Southeast Asia need their capacity to be enhanced to address the dangers faced by their nationals in the region. There is a need for personnel in the embassies who can coordinate victim support, and a budget is very important. A budget is needed to be able to send rescued victims home. Otherwise, they end up being stranded again. And you're adding, you're solving one problem, but not and creating another problem. Authorities in East Africa must listen to returning victims and learn from them. There is a lack of a formal mechanism to gather and act on their knowledge or to provide support for the mental health issues which many are left facing as a result of these traumatic experiences. So that was the issue today. I hope you have got some knowledge about cybercrime going on in Asia and Africa. This is an ongoing issue today, and it is an issue tomorrow. So it is not yesterday's issue, but it is current issue. So thank you for listening to me, and I will be back with more. Goodbye.